All right, welcome to the Voice of Detailing. Well, we tried publishing this, tried going live, and for some reason our YouTube channel was not connected correctly. So hopefully this is going to work. All right, I think I just got a notification. All right, so the first time
I
we
did.
did it didn't work.
I got
Now
the
we're
notification this time.
all right, good. Now I think we're live. All right, well, welcome to the Voice of Detailing. I know it's been a while since we had our last podcast, but we're back. Hopefully, I'm going to try and stay on a regular schedule if we can. But today we have a special guest, Andy Stilley from Stilley's Mobile Detailing from California. So we're going to introduce him in a second, and then we're going to hear his story, how he began, some of the struggles of beginning a business, and then hopefully hear some stories, some good stories, some bad stories, and all that and more in this evening's podcast. Here we go. Now we have some people coming in. Mike's Auto Detailing, first from Puerto Rico. Thank you. We
Hey
actually
guys.
did 7 minutes of this and realized
Yeah.
it didn't work for some reason. So my client, this EV Mux YouTube podcasting client, obviously didn't do something and didn't go live. All right, but we have Andy here, so welcome, Andy. It's nice to have you here on the podcast.
Thank you, Phil. I recognize first. He's always first on Friday Eve on TRC's stuff too. So it's good to see him
Yep.
chime in.
Yeah, if he doesn't show up in the podcast, I know something's
You
wrong.
gotta worry,
So
right? Yeah.
yeah, I'm
He's
like,
a staple.
he's usually here. What's going on? So he's here. Awesome.
He
Well,
says Mike's
Andy,
always late.
yeah. Mike's always late. That's funny.
Yeah.
Nice. All right. Now that we're live and going, let's hear your story, Andy. How did you start detailing? And then we'll go from there. We'll elaborate from there.
Okay. Well, hey guys, my name's Andy Stilley, and I am the solo owner operator of Stilley's Mobile Detailing in a little town in the Central Sierras of California. It's on Lake Tulloch. The town is called Copperopolis. That is, if you do not know, it's about an hour east of Modesto's Stockton area, and about 2.5 hours east of San Francisco, and I'm below Yosemite and Tahoe. So, my detailing journey started in my senior year of high school. My dad bought me a 64 Chevy pickup. It was black, it was cherry, it could have been in magazines, and man, I washed that thing 3 times a week. And we lived in a condo complex, and the neighbors would drive by, and I would hear them yell out the window, "When are you going to do mine?" So it gave me the idea to I I had a cartoon in the school paper, so I animated literally a flyer, and I went door to door in the condo complex and used to go around inside there doing $15 hand washes, and
Hmm.
literally pulled a few products around with a red flyer wagon, no joke. And I had no clue at the time that mobile detailing was even a thing.
Hmm.
So what happened was, what really exploded it and made it a business is one of my neighbors and regulars. She was a Mattel realtor. She called me one day, and I was going to a Bible college, and I said, "Yeah, I could do your car. I'll be home after 3:30 after class, and I could do it about 4 o'clock." And she says, "No, I need you to come to me. I don't have time to come home. I got to stay here at the office, and then I need my car cleaned up, and I got to show a house." And I was like, "Come to you? How am I going to do that?" She's like, "Just bring your garden hose and an extension cord. We'll take care of it." So I was like, "Okay." So I loaded up, rolled out in the sixth floor and pulled up into Mattel Realty. And now you have to know that this was the head office for also Fidelity Title, Remax. There was a
Oh.
dental office in there and and they all see me out there cleaning her car up, and I could hardly even work. They're, "Oh my gosh, you come out here and you do this? Do you have a business card?" And no, but I have an animated flyer. Here you go.
Nice.
And so there I was passing out my animated flyer. It was all handwritten and Xeroxed, and that's how things started rolling. But I had no clue. about detailing. I mean, I just did a really nice, wash job, hand wash, and dress the tires and thorough vacuum, and they give them like cherry or vanilla, have fragrance,
Yeah.
I come across a customer as I started growing that asked me, "Do you do hand waxing?" And I said, "Well, yeah, I could wax your car." And he was very unhappy with my work, and I was like, "Well, why? I thought I did a good job." He says, "It still feels rough." I'm like, "Hmm." So I talked to another detailer that went to my church at the time, and he told me, he said, "Did you clay it?" I was like, "What? What's a clay bar?"
What is a clay? Yeah, what is clay? Like Play-Doh?
and this detailer became a great mentor of mine, Chris Raynor. And he's no longer in the business. He's a money manager guy now, but he still likes to chime in on my socials and
Mm,
call me and talk detailing. But he started bringing me out on some of his bigger jobs. And man, did I really start learning about, chemicals and paint and,
mm,
claying and, uh, you know, detailing from
yeah.
him. And this was all in the early 90s.
Wow.
And, we didn't have cell phones. Customers would page me with a page.
Page. Wow.
And I would try to tell a phone booth like Superman, and call them. Say, yeah, yeah, well, give me your address. And I'm writing this stuff down. It was this completely different world then, and that led to get to where I am now. In a nutshell, to wrap it up, um, I detailed a customer's car with a broken leg. I used to race
Mm,
motocross, and I broke my leg racing. And I had a customer that was a Remax realtor, but also, watch this, a flight attendant for American Airlines.
mm.
And I called Kurt, and Kurt was like, I need to make some money, man. And he was always willing. Come over, I'll have three of my buddies show up. We'll get some work for you. And those guys sat out there having cocktails, watching me detail their cars with a walking cast. And they're like, "Don't you have health insurance?" I'm like, "No, man, I work for myself." I was a kid. I didn't even know that,
Yeah,
that I was
exactly.
supposed to pay taxes.
Oh, man, yeah.
you know,
You probably
but
weren't even making enough to even pay taxes anyway.
business insurance, what's that? Health
Yeah,
insurance, what's that? Man, I'm a 25-year-old kid.
yeah.
And so they Kurt said, "Here's what you do: come fly with us on American Airlines, and you could do this on the side." Well, the
Mm,
next thing you know, I get hired with American Airlines, and I forgot all about detailing. Moved to New York, lived in New York for 5 years, flying around the globe,
wow.
and was a flight attendant. I finally got enough seniority to get home to SFO. Once that happened, I kind of started like doing some details for old customers of mine that, the ones that would invite me out on the houseboat. Oh yeah, grab some red wine too from first
Nice.
class.
Yeah,
Come detail our cars, and then this weekend we're going to go out on the houseboat. So those guys, I kind of kept in my pocket, and
nice.
still did some detailing here and there, but it definitely was a far cry from a business at this point in the early 2000s.
Mm,
When COVID hit, we had some layoff scares, and I had moved here from Modesto to Copperopolis, and this town's very rural. But I thought,
mm,
there's not a detailer anywhere around here. I'll start doing some side detailing, some side work. And I just had a hard time wearing the mask on the plane, and I was worried we were going to get laid off and
mm.
stuff. So I started up detailing again and started actually, um, putting myself out there. And some of the neighbors started, chewing on it. And I used Next Door.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, Sydney Bray Gwynn turned me on the Nextdoor app, and I jumped on there, and that started the business rolling. And little did I know that American Airlines was going to close our San Francisco base.
Whoa.
And in January of 23, they closed our base. They kicked all
Mm,
400 of us flight attendants out. we all bid for new bases, and I got Charlotte, North Carolina. And I just bought a house. Parents are getting older. I tried to commute out there for 7 months, and finally I decided, Phil, I'm just going to retire. I
Mm,
make the detailing a full time thing. I really didn't know, what the future held, but
yeah.
I just I knew God would take care of me, and just prayed that the Lord would direct me. And looking back, I wonder if I should have moved to Charlotte, but um, but here I am, 2 years into being full time again.
Yeah.
Actually, third year, and things are
Third,
going.
you said third year?
Yeah, third
Third year in
year
business?
I've been full time.
Yep.
So I was pretty busy at COVID in 2020, and it gained momentum from there,
Mm,
and to where I was confident enough to leave American and say, I think I can make it full time detailing. I'm a solo operator in a very small town. It's got its challenges, but I still have some of the old school Modesto customers. So I do travel down to the valley and do that
nice.
too. So I'm not just stuck here in my little old town.
Yeah. Yeah. What was the time frame between when you started to work for the airlines and when you started detailing again? I think you told me before, but what was that gap?
Yeah, I was a mobile detailer for almost 8 years. And in
Okay.
98, 99, I went to work for American Airlines.
Oh, okay. Wow. Yeah.
And I lived
So,
in New York for the first 5 years.
wow. So that's
So
almost 25 years, right?
yeah, I flew for 25 years.
Wow.
And when I retired, we lost our pensions after 9/11. All that was frozen and stuff. So when I retired, I left with nothing.
Oh,
And staying and moving to Charlotte, it wouldn't have got any better.
yeah.
So yeah, it
Yeah.
wasn't. I
You just had to choose between 2 bad choices basically. Like, what do you
yeah.
do, you know? Yeah.
Right. I mean, I got so slow last winter. I went and got a Class A.
Oh,
If I get
yeah.
super slow, I can go jump in a truck and get a paycheck. You know,
Yeah. That's good to
I'm a
have a
full.
backup. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm fully endorsed Class A, but I haven't had to do that. I surprisingly stayed busy all winter.
Yeah.
You know, and
That's
we
really good.
we have a little bit different weather than the Bay Area here. The Bay Area detailers, they stay pretty busy
Mhm.
consistently. The weather's a little more stable over there.
Mm.
Here at our elevation in the Central Sierras, there's extreme winter, and summer, believe it or not, gets really hot, and we get slow in the summer too.
Oh,
So it's a very
yeah.
different demographic. So we have busy spring, busy fall,
Yep.
and then you gotta save to make it through.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what we experienced this winter. This past winter was one of the worst winters we've experienced in almost our entire 15 years of business. I mean, not counting the first, 5-ish years of our business where it was just because it was new. But I mean, we had been consistently busy for 10 plus years. And then all of a sudden it just dried up this past winter. But then again, politics, the economy, all this stuff, it just kind of exploded and that slowed things down. I know it did for a lot of other detailers in my area and across the country
Yeah.
as well.
Well,
And some
I
some demographics had a bubble, like they were okay, and then others felt it, like we felt it here.
yeah, I'd like to talk about that some, but first
Mm,
I wanna bring out something that was is really key, and I think that um, from detailing in the '90s to getting back into it in
mm.
2020, that's a huge gap, and things had changed. And
Yeah.
I mentioned the guy that went to my youth group, Chris Raynor. That was my original mentor that taught me
Yep.
a lot about detailing. He was the first person I reached out to when I started detailing again in 2020.
Mm,
And he said, have you heard about this machine called a Rupes? Check this out. You gotta look into this.
mm.
Which where'd that take me? Well, YouTube. Well, in the 90s, we didn't have YouTube.
Yeah.
So through that, that's how I found you.
Mm,
And when found your videos, I was like, this I feel like this guy has a real similar style. You were still mobile. I don't feel like he's trying to sell me things. I like
mm,
related. And man, I started taking notes and learning, and not just from your footage, but also man, I found Jason Rose. I found Levi Gates. I was surprised. And I reached out to the rag company. I was shocked. Levi Gates drop a dime, FaceTime me, like, and
yep.
you too. And spend time talking with you on the phone and answer questions. And I was like, man, this is gold. And I really learned a lot from the YouTube community in the detailing industry. Several guys,
Yeah.
and because my original mentor had been out of the game for so long, there was kind of a disconnect, and I needed other mentorship,
Definitely.
and that's what led me to your channel and some others, and I really started learning. And good thing is I had the past experience to
Yeah.
where just from watching a video, I could transfer that and go out and practice, use my own vehicles, families' cars as guinea pigs. And I taught myself ceramic coatings and polishing all with that. And I
Yeah.
learned the hard way. There's stacks of crap around here I bought that I've used one.
Oh, yeah.
I could have a garage sale for detailers, man.
Oh,
All
yeah.
this.
Me too. My now I it's crazy.
Now
It's
I buy
crazy
the
how much
same
stuff.
old like eight
Yeah.
things.
Oh, yeah.
All the other stuff's just sitting on a shelf rotten.
Yep.
But anyhow, yeah, that's how I ended up where I am today.
Yeah. Man, thinking about that, like, 25-year gap is interesting because it's like you started getting into it, and then you kinda, like, put it on pause, and getting back into it, I'm sure there were so many things, all the different products, the chemicals, the tools that came out, to
Well,
make things
ceramic coatings
easier.
alone. Like, what is this?
Yeah.
What is this?
Yeah.
This seems like the real deal. I want to learn this.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I did. And
Man,
yes, and us mobile guys can do it.
they can. They
Yes.
can. They can do it outdoors. I w it's funny is I still get some mobile detailers will ask me about applying coatings outdoors, and honestly, I don't have any experience with it because before I started applying coatings, um, I was just too afraid, like, I didn't have the correct setup for it, and I didn't feel like I can actually do it, and it wasn't until I got a garage that I felt confident enough to do it, and, like, take my time and not worry about dust and pollen that we have here, outdoors and
Yeah.
all that, and afraid of polishing paint, and then if dust or pollen gets on it and you start wiping it, you start getting issues. I'm like, that was always my thing. I just didn't wanna, like, screw anything up, so I never applied coatings outdoors. Never experienced it, but I've seen other detailers do it, and they're like, "Yeah, it's fine," but I don't know.
I
I'm too
do
afraid to do it.
I do very few, long-term coatings. Very few. And
Yeah,
I say maybe only a handful a year.
yeah.
But the ones I've done, I always look out, like the my customer with the Lamborghini, who then went and bought a McLaren. He has an
Oh,
air conditioned garage. I mean,
yeah.
perfect,
Yep, yep,
And so, yeah, I could do that. Sure, no problem,
yep.
Jake.
Yeah, go to yeah. Actually, that's right. We've done at least that I can remember at least 3 or 4 coding jobs where we went to their garage. And I asked, "I can do it mobile, but it has to be in your garage and it has to be space. I'll bring my own lights." And then it was okay. Like that I could do. Um, but yeah, I just I've never applied coatings
Yeah,
actual outdoors, like in the shade where it's like having the perfect situation when you're mobile is really difficult because they're like, "Oh yeah, just apply it in shade." I'm like, "Well, I may not have that luxury if I go to someone's house." I'm like, "There's no shade. What am I going to do now?" So it's like the variables with that are crazy. You just
yeah.
never
I did
know.
an alley under a shade tree one time. I just paint prepped as I went. Paint prep,
Yeah.
coated, panel by
Oh,
panel,
that's good.
coated, paint prep, coated.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, you do what you got to do to make it happen. So, yeah. That's something that a lot of mobile detailers, if you don't have the garage to do it and you don't have a way of getting a garage, I'm like, sometimes you just gotta find those
Yeah.
situations and get shade and
As
do it.
mobily, I will say that, that's why I'm in love with the combo, G-Tex combo, Crystal Serum Light and Exo. It's
Yeah,
so user friendly
it
and
really is.
goes on everything, man. Plastic to glass, you could just do it up. And
Yeah,
I just, that's where, you were saying, confidence. And that's where my confidence is in that coating mobily. Cause I know
nice.
that if the temperatures are right, of course, that
Yeah,
it's very user friendly and the
yeah.
results are excellent. I do love it. I got to tell you a story. I, I learned coding I have a little black Civic, and I learned coding on my cars. I did them first, and I did some family and friends.
Mhm.
But little thing has looked so good, and you could just see your reflection, and even though it's a Honda Civic, and the other, my best customer here in town, I detail and maintain all five of his vehicles. He has a
Mhm.
51 Bel Air, a 68 Chevelle, two work trucks, and a brand new Genesis sedan. And his wife puts out bird seed for the wild turkeys. Remember, guys, I live in the mountains. You shouldn't feed the wildlife, but she does. So
Yeah.
these turkeys, every time I'm over there, I'm running these turkeys off. In one of the trucks, I've already polished turkey scratches. They like to get up on top of it. So this bird thinks that he sees his own reflection in my Civic.
Oh,
Because
no.
I drove my Civic over there and took one of his vehicles home. At my house, I have a huge sun cell that I can get bigger vehicles under because they won't fit under my 1313 Easy Up.
Yep.
So some of the bigger vehicles I'll bring to the house and do them under the huge 24 by 24 sun cell. So I drove my Civic over there and I'm like, Ted, what are we going to do about the turkeys, man? He's all, if you park over there, they won't bother them. That turkey saw his own reflection and got into a fight with himself and literally tore up my Civic. I mean, he just
Oh.
went clawing. He thought he was seeing another turkey or something.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
just destroyed. I posted it on my socials. You guys
Oh.
could go and see it. You scroll down my wall on Andy Stilley on Facebook. You scroll down on my wall, and you can see the damage. It's just almost cried. It's like,
Oh.
holy cow. And what do
Stupid
you
bird.
do? It's your best customer,
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I called him and I said, "What are we gonna do, Ted?" You know, I said, and he was like, "Well, I don't know. What do you want to do?" And I said, "Well, not all of it's gonna polish out, even if I
yeah.
sand. I mean, I we'll see how it turns out and go from there." And that's how I left it. And I'm not wanting to ask him to, it's just one of those things where I just may claim it on my insurance. Maybe go
Yeah,
back to him and say, "Hey, will you split my deductible with me?" Well, whatever I can do, Phil, to not lose him or burn a
yeah.
bridge or cause any animosity. That's what I'm gonna do. That's my best customer in town.
Wow. Oh,
And
yeah.
there's only population 2,000. So
Yes. Yeah,
each
exactly.
customer here is very important.
Yeah. That that is crazy. When did that happen? When did that happen? Oh, can you hear me?
Phil, you froze on me.
Uh-oh. Hold on. Can you hear me? Uh-oh. Can you hear me
Phil,
now? Can you hear me?
test one, two.
Testing, testing. Uh-oh.
What
Ah.
happened?
Can you hear me? Am I back?
Hey
Nope.
guys, I don't know if you can hear me, but I got disconnected from Phil somehow.
Oh, man. Hold on. Hold on. Let's see if I can.
Yeah, hold on just a second. Let Phil fix it on his end, guys. I don't know. You can hear
Oh.
average
Oh,
detailer says, Phil, that She can hear and see us both, but all of a sudden I lost Phil's audio on my end. I don't know
Oh,
why.
no. That's weird. Yeah,
Mary says I can
everyone's
hear you both.
you know what, guys?
Trying to get
If
Phil back.
I might have to end it and redo it. Sorry, guys. Hold on one sec.